At the brightly decorated New Year's Eve dinner, Old Lee brought out a plate of cash. "What are you all staring at? Aren't you all waiting for this dish?" he said. He knew that the dishes his wife and he had worked hard to prepare couldn't satisfy their children's tastes. Only this plate of hard cash could. Before the new year, Old Lee, having worked hard all year, took a sled to return home to save on travel costs. The red lanterns flying everywhere during the journey wore out his old bones. Tomorrow was New Year's Eve, but each of his children had said they wouldn't come back. "Damn it, it's quieter without them," he muttered, though in his heart, after working so hard all year, he still longed to see his children. His wife, Zhao, a few years older than him, often called him by his childhood name when no one else was around. In their dim room, their mutual support warmed them. "What? You want to call me Xiaoming?" No, I won't let you," Old Lee said, pulling out the 8,000 yuan he had earned that year and stuffing it into his wife's hands. Though Zhao had heard nothing from their children all year, her husband, who had weathered the storm with her, still cared about her. "I haven't wronged you, I haven't," Old Lee said, holding back tears. Old Lee and Zhao said they wanted peace and quiet, but in their hearts, both of them, now old and weary, longed for a message from their children, especially during the festive time of the new year. Outside, firecrackers were going off everywhere, but their house was unusually silent. The sound of firecrackers coming through the walls deepened their loneliness. The couple, comforted by each other through the wounds time had left on them, silently shared their love. Though their bodies were aging, Old Lee still pulled his wife out to the busy streets filled with New Year's cheer. Seeing his wife's worried expression, he bought a large pile of firecrackers, bringing a fleeting moment of New Year's spirit. When they returned home the next day, Zhao still hoped the children would come back and made a large batch of dumplings. Old Lee advised her not to make so many, but she worried that the children wouldn't have enough to eat. "Forget it, the eldest son is useless, the eldest daughter is a heartless ingrate, and the second son? I can't even get him to listen." But despite everything, she still called them her children. As the two argued, the sound of laughter came from outside. Old Lee said he didn't care whether the children returned, but when he heard the voice of his son and his girlfriend coming back, he still happily went out to greet them. The couple joyfully welcomed their children home. The second son, however, whispered in his father's ear, "Hey, Dad, did you make much this year?" "Ha ha," he asked, always more interested in money than family concerns. The second son's girlfriend, from a high-ranking family, was clearly more interested in Old Lee's money, which they learned about from Zhao. Only then did the couple see the couple happily handing over a long-delayed gift. Old Lee and Zhao knew why they were being treated so well, but at least their children had come to see them, so they let it slide. The moment didn't last long. The second son soon brought up the topic of going to the coast for a research trip, which was nothing more than an excuse for him to get money from Old Lee. He had a girlfriend who loved spending money, and Old Lee knew that without the money, the children would not come back. While walking outside, Old Lee met his eldest son and grandson. The streets were full of lively dragon dances and stilt walkers. The three of them, grandfather and grandson, felt the joy. His grandson begged him to take him back to his grandfather's house to celebrate the new year, and the eldest daughter-in-law followed. Last year, she had caused a scene at the New Year's Eve dinner, smashing everything in the house due to her unhappiness, and this year, the eldest son secretly brought the child out to avoid her. Not long after, the eldest daughter and her husband arrived. The son-in-law, a slippery character, didn't pay much attention to the family, but as soon as he saw a pretty woman, he couldn't resist. They came back with bad news. His eldest daughter had miscarried again. Her body was weak, and despite multiple pregnancies, none of them had been successful. Yet her husband not only didn't show any concern but also ridiculed her. He even expressed that this habitual miscarriage didn't bother him. He had come to ask Old Li and Zhao for money, planning to invest in his company. The eldest daughter's husband was so focused on money that he had neglected his wife's health. Meanwhile, the eldest daughter's mother-in-law, hearing about Old Li's earnings, quickly pressured her husband to ask for money as well. The woman seemed to think money was all that mattered, making her frustration evident when she didn't get her way. Meanwhile, the youngest son, still living at home, returned with his girlfriend, and when Old Li found out they were living together without being married, he was furious. Every child had come home, except for the second daughter, and Old Li couldn't help but worry about her. The second daughter, however, had been thinking about coming home for some time and had her husband, Datsuan, wait outside while she entered the house first. "Happy New Year, Dad," she said, finally reuniting with her father after a long time. Even though Old Li had been firm about opposing her marriage to Datsuan because he was 8 years older than her, seeing how well his daughter was now doing with him, his resentment had disappeared. Datsuan, a straightforward and loyal man, had brought gifts for the entire family. However, Old Li couldn't forget what the eldest son-in-law had said about Datsuan, and his unease lingered. He called everyone outside, leaving only Datsuan, to talk privately. Datsuan spoke of his work, emphasizing that, as a worker, he earned his living through honest labor, not through corruption. Old Li understood that Datsuan was an honest man, but he still felt a bit uneasy. After some time, Old Li's mind was somewhat at ease when Datsuan said he'd take care of the wedding plans for the younger children. Despite this, Old Li felt conflicted and still wondered about the money the family had accumulated, as it was meant to be for the younger children's marriages. The tension over money was a theme that reappeared throughout the night. Later, during dinner, Old Li, in an attempt to bring the family together, prepared a special dish. "What are you all staring at? Aren't you all waiting for this dish?" However, no one seemed to understand the depth of his feelings, and his eyes, focused on the cash in front of him, expressed a deep disappointment. Despite the elaborate meal, it felt tasteless to him. At this point, an uninvited guest showed up, a woman claiming to be the mistress of Old Li's eldest son-in-law. She brought a basket of items for Old Li's daughter, pretending they were a gesture of goodwill. The fact that the eldest son-in-law had given these things to his mistress, instead of caring for his wife, enraged Old Li. The youngest son, who had long been protective of his sister, immediately got into a fight with his brother-in-law, revealing all his wrongdoings. As the truth about the son-in-law came to light, it caused a great deal of tension within the family. The family's facade of harmony collapsed in that moment. Old Li and Zhao, feeling heartbroken, left their home, leaving behind a chaotic mess. Their children, who had gathered to celebrate the new year, continued to carry their own burdens. The following morning, as the snow blanketed the ground, the couple, now weary from years of sacrifice, left without looking back. In the end, all their children had returned to the same home, but their hearts had already drifted away. Perhaps next New Year's Eve, the family would once again gather together, but their love and unity would never be the same. The facade of a happy family, held together by New Year's traditions, had shattered, and the cracks in their relationships were irreparable.